Morning. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Love 500. Welcome back to, I think it's day 12 on Project Foxy. It's going on a bit, this, isn't it? Lots to do today. First thing I'm going to do is give it a service. So let's get into it. Let's do it. Let's make a start, see how much we can get done today. What we've got to do today on this, as I say, I'm going to give it a service now. Got the oil, got the filter, got the oil filter, air filter, etc. I'm going to get it up on ramps, get that done. We are also going to finish off doing the stereo. As you know, it's sort of half installed at the moment. We'll get that finished, we'll get that all pushed back. Got to get the camera installed in the back. We do have the wheels to still refurbish. We might give that a go later on if we do have time, at least make a start on that. And today, it's not a really warm day today. I've even got my hoodie on, as you might have seen in the intro, but the sun has just come out, but it's relatively cool, so I'm gonna have a go at the roof. At the very least, cleaning it. Now I watched a video of a detailer who uses the same stuff, the Renovo stuff. It was a UK video. And I made a comment on his channel, and he came back and he said he used the cleaning, not the colouring, and he said try and avoid doing the colouring if you can. He did it on one and it was a nightmare. Again, you know, I have seen other videos where it's been done and it's worked fine. So he reckons you probably won't need it. I mean, he obviously hadn't seen this, and to be fair, most of it's dirt. The only concerns I've got, of course, are these little burns. So I've got to try and repair those, but I'll do that after it's clean. So I am going to give it a go, just cleaning it. I mean, these white marks are like lichen and what have you. So chances are it will clean up okay, and it may not need colouring, even though I have bought another bottle of colour. I may not need it. Yeah, so we need to get those repaired. And then once they're repaired, if I can use the colourant dye to colour those, even if it takes numerous coats, then that might be sufficient. We'll see. Because if I can avoid having to recolour the roof, then I will avoid doing that. I don't want to do that, but I assume that I probably needed to. But we'll see if it comes out. But anyway, that's later on this afternoon, which obviously will be in this video. So let's crack on. Let's get it up on ramps, and let's get this service done. Right, that's it, service done. I haven't changed the spark plugs, so I haven't felt that there's any need to. But yeah, the usual oil and filters. You might have seen that I took that off because The little bracket was broken, as they always are, so and I need to get some like 2-part resin glue. I've run out. I need to get some more. I might try some super glue, see if that would do it, but I think you need something a little bit more substantial. Actually, I might even have one, a repaired one. If I have, I'll swap them over. So I checked for leaks. 2.8 litres put in as usual. I actually forgot how much oil you have to put in, and I went and googled it, and it's surprisingly different depending on where you look. But I think a lot of the results are coming from America with a different engine. So and it's saying one said 5 litres, another one said 3.8 litres, but it is actually 2.8 litres. As soon as I saw it, I thought, oh yeah, that's right. I've done so many of these and I couldn't remember. So yeah, 2.8 litres. So I poured what was left in one bottle of oil, which is 1.2 litres, and I filled it up to 1.6 litres, making 2.8 litres. It's run up to temperature. There's no leaks. But we will check it, check the level a bit later, just to make sure. So, what we need to do next is to sort this stereo out. So, just get it finished off. Now, there is I say it's an issue with this stereo. Let me just get in here and explain quickly. So, when you disconnect the battery to the car, and you reconnect it, turn the stereo on, the stereo will do this. Bear with. It will boot up Android from scratch, which takes about 15 seconds or thereabouts, maybe a little bit more actually. Now, the issue I've had, as you can see, the battery's not been disconnected, but it is booting up as if it has been. So that is making me think, for some bizarre reason, that the red and the yellow need swapping.
England has told Hearts it'll be a while yet before we see the impact.
Turn that down. It's telling me that potentially that the red and the yellow need swapping round. However, having said that, it's keeping the radio controls. If I disconnect the battery, I think, I'll check that actually, I think it will lose those. I think. I'll double check that. But I don't know whether these have got non-volatile memory, i.e. you program something in, it programs it to the ROM, and then it stays there. I'm not sure if Stations is part of that. As you can see, it's connected to my home Wi-Fi, you can see up there, because I did an update. So I need to check that. The other strange thing it does, which is not coming up at the moment, so let me just close the door. I don't know if this will work now because I've started it up with the door open. Let me try it. Yeah. As you can see, it shows me that the door's open, but it's the wrong door. If I open the other door, it shows the other door. Now, why the hell is that? And strangely enough, I spoke to Sean in the Isle of Wight, who's got the one-up, so exactly the same as this, exactly the same version of Android. He hasn't got that door open thing, and we don't know why. This is the same spec as that because this is basically a pop. His is a colour therapy, which is a funked up pop. So they're identical cars, and again identical stereo, except for his one is the one up. Now, why his doesn't do that with the boot up? So I don't really understand that. So I'm contemplating swapping the red and yellow over, because I mean it's not massive issue that it comes up 15 seconds after. However, although I haven't got the camera connected at the moment, the what do you call it, the reversing camera, of course when you put it in reverse it comes up no video signal. When I first started the car this morning, reversed it back to put it up on the ramps, it didn't do that because it was within that 15 seconds. So if you get in your car, start it up, put it in reverse, until the stereo is finished booting, you've got no video signal at all, which is a bit of a nuisance. The other thing I've got to do is I've got to connect the brake wire to an earth. That means that videos will play at any time rather than just when you've got the handbrake on. That's obviously a safety thing, I know, because we don't want people driving along watching videos, but yeah, it's generally something that everybody does rather than connect it to the handbrake. So there's a couple of little issues that I've got to try and iron out. As I said earlier in the previous video, I am going to take those little screws out as well, so when it does push back in, it just pushes back in cleanly, and it can just be pulled out rather than having to get to use these things, because it is quite a tight fit anyway. So yeah, and I've got to do the camera at the back. So a couple of little bits there. So I don't really understand it, because when you do switch it on, it should, within a second or two, I'll show you when it comes back up again. So I should have counted actually. Come on, Android. That's the only thing I can think of. I can't think of any other reason why it would be doing that. So it's a bit of a nuisance, but I'm going to try swapping them and see what happens. See what I mean? That's more than 15 seconds, isn't it? That's more like 20 seconds. That's not really acceptable, I don't think. I think I need to sort that. Music's going. Oh yeah, I can hear the music now. So what would normally happen, so it's loading. Why is it loading? There. That should come up within a couple of seconds. Within a couple of seconds of you starting the radio, turning it on, that should come up. And it did on the previous one that was in Project Aussie, but it's not doing it in this. It's going through that boot process. But as I say, it is keeping the radio stations, as you can see. So I'm going to disconnect the battery and have a look and see if it does lose the radio stations. I think it does, but that would mean that the wires are not the incorrect way around, because if that was the case, I think, yeah, if they were the wrong way around, as soon as you turn the ignition off, that would disconnect the wire, the permanent live, wouldn't it? Which means it would lose those radio stations. So let's try that actually. Let's disconnect the battery and we'll come straight back. Right, so it's come back on. I've disconnected the battery for about 15 seconds, turned it back on. It's obviously picked up, it's gone through the start-up procedure like it always does, like the 15, 20 seconds, whatever it is. Oh, what was that? Is that my phone connecting? Guess so. So if I go to radio now, the stations are still there. So although it's defaulting to 87.5, although if I press the stations, it will presumably go to capital. Let's turn the sound off. Go to capital. Yeah, can hear the music. Yeah. So that doesn't necessarily mean that that's not connected as it should be. So I don't know. I'm going to have a look through the settings. I did have a brief look the other day and I couldn't find anything, but I'm going to have a look through the settings and see if anything pops up. That's, maybe there's something in the settings that is forcing a complete reboot every time it starts up. I don't know, but we'll have a look. We'll get to the bottom of it, I'm sure. If I can't figure it out, I will email the suppliers and ask them, because they are pretty good in replying actually. Within a couple of days or so, they normally reply to problems. It is a bit of a broken English, but then of course they speak better English than I speak Chinese. So yeah, we'll see what we can do. I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it. Anyway, but we'll do that. I'm going to have a fiddle now, and then I'm going to sort that camera out as well, get the hole drilled in the bumper. So I will be back very shortly, and we'll get that hole drilled, get the camera installed and so on. So I've looked through the settings, I can't find anything at all. So you've got a thick yellow wire that comes from, I think this is the power one. Yeah, thick yellow one. There is a red one there, but that red one, I think, well, it's not that, is it? Hang on, we've got a red wire there, not connected. Oh no, that's the one that comes from there. So yeah, that red wire goes to the CAN bus box. So I don't really understand that. So I don't know what wire it is that is your permanent live. There isn't another permanent live there. Sorry, an ignition live. I'm going to have to look at the wiring diagram, I think, because something ain't right. So I need to try and figure this out. There's just such a mountain of wires here. I've got them. I've got the wiring diagrams upstairs somewhere. So yeah, well, we need to figure this out. So right. So the drill bit. I didn't have a drill bit. I probably did at some point, but it seems to have disappeared. This is a drill bit out of a set of parking sensors. It's the same size. I checked it was the same size by. I got a supermarket strawberry container, drilled a hole in that, and then fed it in. Because obviously there's no screw on the back of these. It's held in by little springs, so it needs to be the right size. So to get the middle, I'm going to do it by eye in line with the catch, and then I'm just going to do a little mark, centre between there and there. So by eye. So that is, let's say, 140 mil. So 70 mil down will be the centre. And we'll mark it lined up with that. This is very scientific, as you can see. Just there. So that's what I'm going to drill meal. Okay, so wish me luck. Just like that. That's easy, isn't it? And the difficult bit is going to be feeding these cables through the thing. I'm going to have to try and see if I can do it from underneath. I might have to get the car up in the air a little bit to do it, potentially. If there's any other way of doing it. Unless, if I let that traipse down, feed something else through, and then I can pull it through, can't I? That might be easier. So first of all, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to mark so I know which is the top. So I'm going to have to wire it in. That's the power. Oh, I've got to get the video cable. The video cable's not fed through yet, so I fed it through part way, and then it's just sitting in the back. I've got it as far as the back, but no further. So I'm just going to have to, yeah. If I figure out which way up it should be, and then I can I'll just mark it with a pen so I know when I put it in, and then I won't put it all the way in. I'll test it again once I've got it in. Let me just do that. Right, actually it wasn't working, and I had to. I don't know if it was just because it was a blown bulb on here, on the new one, but I've just swapped the these bits over from the old one to the new one. That bulb does look a bit black, so I don't know if it wasn't making a contact just because it had a blown bulb or what, but I've just sort of fed it in loosely. I couldn't really do it, so I've got this big cable tie that courtesy of Copart, so I'm going to feed that through the hole down there like that, and I'm going to try and tape those, don't want that falling right through, tape those cables on and then pull it back through. I think that's probably the best way of doing it. I think. Let's tape those on there like that. Oh, sorry, I was leaning against the microphone then. That's it. Just like that. Simple. Simple, simple, simple. And now, now that's virtually pushed in, I've got to make sure, see which is the right way round. Right, ignition on again. I've got to wait for this blimmin' thing to boot up again. Here we go. Right, so it's got to be turned clockwise, hasn't it? Problem is I can't, in a hatchback you'd be able to look through the back, but I can't. So if we turn it clockwise. Oh, no, I think we've gone the wrong way. It must be mirror image, mustn't it? So we've gone the wrong way. So we're sorry, I wasn't even pointing at it, so just turning it like that. It's almost there. Has that gone too far? I keep having to tread over everything here. Turn it a little bit more. Actually, it might be where that bit is upright. That bit's upright. Don't know. Push it in a little bit. It keeps moving. Until I push it right in, it's going to move. Let's have another look. No, it's still out. I might, once it's in, it's going to be a bit difficult to turn it. I'm still not sure which way. I'm going to fiddle back with this until I get it right. I'm going to try and put the boot down a little bit and see if I can see it. It might be a bit difficult, but we'll give it a go. That looks about right, I think. I still think that these are pointing up in the uphill because the driveway's uphill. I think that's why. Hopefully. And I don't know when you turn whether they're going to move sideways or not. Someone did ask me that, and I don't know because I haven't tried it yet. But in hindsight, I could have painted it, I suppose, but it doesn't look. It looks like a single parking sensor in the back, doesn't it? I suppose I could have painted it around the edge, but that'll do. Yeah, I like that. I think that's good. It's relatively inobtrusive, or is it unobtrusive? And it works. Excellent. Right, okay, let's put everything back in the boot. Right, so what I've done is I've plugged seatbelts in, loosened just that one bolt, and then I've fed the wire under there, up there, through there, underneath, and then I've pushed it out. So you can see the daylight there coming from the boot. I've pushed it under there, and then we've got hold of it and pulled it out. Quite a lot of wire left. Obviously these are generic, so they're for long cars as well as short cars like this, so there's plenty there. So we'll just wrap it up, stick a cable tie around it, and we'll cable tie it to that bracket out the way, and then we can connect it all up, put everything back, and that'll be that done. Right, now that's all done, next thing I'm going to do is I am going to have a go and clean this roof, see how we get it out. So first thing I need to do is just give it a brush over with a relatively soft brush, just to get out any ingrained dirt. We're then going to wet it with a hose pipe just to dampen it down, and then we're going to give this a shake, pour it into there, and we're using a 2-inch paintbrush to paint it on. We then leave it anywhere between 20 minutes and, well, according to the bottle, an hour. According to some videos that I've watched, anywhere between 20 minutes and 2 hours. 2 videos I watched, they left it for an hour. So I'm going to leave it for an hour. It is cloudy at the moment. They've said don't do it in direct sunlight. It is completely cloudy at the moment, so I'm sort of hoping it's going to stay there. It is the 1st of July tomorrow, so I'm not going to get, well, hopefully I'm not going to get many days with clouds, but potentially, you know, probably not as much as you don't want it to rain. You also don't want it to be in direct sunlight, so let's hope it stays, because you don't want it to dry out, basically, is what we're saying. So I'm going to get this on. I'm going to get it wet first. I'm going to try and set the camera up somewhere if I can. Not sure if I can get it up high enough, and then we'll see if we can film it. If not, we'll just have to come back. If I can't get the camera up high enough, I'm not sure the tripod's going to go up that high, but we'll do what we can. If not, we'll you can see what it's like. You know what it's like. You've seen it a million times. It's got all these marks over it. Obviously, we know we've got the burns, which we've got to repair afterwards, but everything else needs to be cleaned, and hopefully it won't need colouring, but we'll see. Right, let's do it. Right, apparently what we do is we leave that just for a few minutes, just to soak in before we paint on the stuff. So we'll be shaking that up and getting that poured out. We'll leave it 10 minutes just to dwell, the water to soak into the roof, and then we'll come straight back. Right, so I've poured about half of this stuff out, so I don't really know how far it goes. Because it says if it's not good enough, once you've done it once, do it again. So I'm hoping that I only use like the half that I'm putting on now. And then once we've got this on, we then leave it. I'm gonna see how it goes, but I'm gonna sort of leave it for maybe an hour. And then we'll scrub it. Actually, it goes on quite well. You don't actually use that much. But there were plenty of warnings that said, don't let it dry. Especially if it goes on the paintwork. It said rub the paintwork down afterwards. Not rub it down, you know what I mean. Clean it. It does also say on any heavily stained, really heavily stained spots and what have you, you could use it just neat and dry. But hopefully this is going to do the job. It would be nice if I didn't have to colour it. That would be good. I've actually given it another coat, and I am actually going to give it some more, because unfortunately, although it's not warm, it's probably 20 degrees today, it is drying out. That bit feels quite wet, but it feels like it's drying out, and I really don't want it to dry out. Right, I am going to start scrubbing. Oh, I can see all the green coming out. Right, as you can see, there's lots of green here. Now, so I've done 3 coats of the stuff. I've also just been using the D101, which is the stuff that I use to clean the seats. I've got leftovers in a bottle, and I've used that. I've gone over it with a drill, which did cause some bits of, as you can see, little red. So, you know, I say damaged in inverted commas the roof. It's taken a few little fibres off the top of it, but that's not the end of the world. But it does seem, there might be some bits, but it does seem in the most part to have got all those white lichen marks off, and the black. I think there might be some hiding under that greenness. I'm going to leave it yet again another 10 minutes. I've scrubbed it, I've scrubbed it, I've scrubbed it, I've scrubbed it. I'm going to leave it another 10 minutes. I'm going to scrub it once more, and then I'm going to get the hose on it and see how it looks. Right, I've done enough scrubbing. I've scrubbed this like 5 times, 6 times. It's time to get some serious water on it and blast it off. Apart from the green, it don't look too bad. There might be some black bits hiding underneath, but let's do it. There's lots of green coming out, lots and lots and lots of green coming out. Absolutely tons of it. Wow. Hiya. First glance, it looks really good. Even if there's a few bits that still need doing afterwards, I can always go over them before I waterproof it. There is tons and tons of black and green coming out of it. And it says use plenty of water. You've got to get all of that product out. Use it on the stronger setting. There's still more green coming out when I do that, but you can still see those marks. It's a bit of a faff, isn't it? Wouldn't be so bad if it was black, of course. It shows up more on the red roof and the beige roof. I guess the black roof, it wouldn't be quite so bad, apart from the white spots, of course. So this is the next day. There were still marks on it. I forgot to film the marks. You could still, most of all that white and most of that black, but there are still some faint hints of black spots on it. So I've gone over it yet again. The back of it's all right. This is all fine. So I've gone over it yet again. I've also used some G101 on it, some G101, the normal stuff, obviously diluted, which I've then brushed over it. The sun keeps coming out, like there's some blue sky up there, and the sun keeps coming out every now and again, so obviously I don't want it to dry out. But we'll give it another scrub. I'll give it a really good scrub again. We'll give it another go. I might go over it with a drill again, actually. In fact, I might do that now. And I think the thing is, if there is any black left, I don't know whether, even if I do dye it, I don't know whether the dye is going to cover that up, because it's a dye, not a paint. So I don't know if there's any point. We'll see how it comes. You never know. They might. This second, I've used all of the stuff up now. I've got none left. And of course I've used the D101, and now I've used G101. So it's had a fair old clean. But we'll carry on, and we'll rinse it off again. And what we'll do is we'll come back once it's dry, and we'll have another look at it. Right, it's the next day again. And as we can see, there are still marks on here, so I think I've exhausted trying to get these off. I mean, it is a vastly better than it was, but some of these, you look at them closely, I mean, it's probably blurred. If I look at them closely, they're just, I don't think we're going to get those off. The only way potentially that we could get those off, I mean, if I scrape at them with my fingernail, it's just not coming off. So I don't know whether that's just, I don't know if it's discoloration or what it is, don't know. But it ain't coming off as much as I've tried. You might see a little bottle up there. Ouch! So, because we got these fag bones, I had a look on Amazon and I saw this. So it's a wine red acrylic paint. and I don't know whether it's going to be anywhere near the colour, but I thought what I'd do is I'm going to use the repair kit. Now I'm not sure with the repair kit whether you just put glue in, put a little patch in there and put maybe some glue around it, and I want to try and make it as invisible as I can. That one's the worst one, but I'm going to do this one first. But I thought what I'd do is put a little bit of that, use a little brush and put a little bit of that paint in there and see what it looks like. I mean, it's not the same colour, but it is a wine red, and I would say that this was sort of a wine red. So I'm going to try it, see what it looks like. Right, so what I've done is I've taken off, I don't know if you can see that, it's not actually, the colour's not a million miles away. I've got a little thing from laundry liquid, washing liquid. So I'm just going to put, well, I don't think I need it, I'm just going to poke it in. Oh, you know what? It's quite close. I mean, it's going to dry a different colour. But you know what? It's not a million miles away, you know. I don't think it dries shiny. That was a reason for getting this one. I remember reading that it dries with a matte finish. But I'm only going to do this one for the time being. I'm not going to do the other one. I'm going to leave this one. See what sort of colour it dries. I hope you can see this. I'll show you with the camera close up once I've finished. But so I'm just sort of filling the hole with paint. I mean, that on its own would probably waterproof it. And I may not need for the patch, because the patches are not the same sort of material as this. So we'll see actually. Right, I'm going to leave that like that. And see how it comes out. Actually, I'm going to do a little bit around the edge. Just on the little black bits around the edge. Right. Yeah, it certainly blends in a little bit more. Let me just get a bit closer with the camera and show you. Yeah, so as you can see, I mean, you can still see it, of course you can. But is it in focus? It don't look bad, does it? We'll see what sort of texture it is when it dries. Right, let me just show you what I've done on this side. So I thought I'd do this alternately. So the other one is the paint, which looks now, to me, this is only 5-10 minutes later, it's virtually dry. I mean, of course you can see I haven't put any glue in there yet, so that's not up to the surface. So on here, this is obviously wet. I literally just put it on. So you do get patches, but it says the patches are like for doing paddling pools and that type of thing, and tents. And it's sort of with the glue, because what it says, when you've got a hole, you put the sticky pad underneath, which is self-adhesive, and you put the glue on the top. On here, of course, it hasn't gone through. It's only the top surface, so I'm just using the glue. So it's quite a nice smooth surface. I'm hoping it's in focus. I think it's in focus. It's quite a nice smooth surface. At the moment, the sun's shining off it, and it's very bright, but I'm assuming hopefully it will dry matte when it dries, and then we can put that paint over the top of it. That's as good as the repair's going to get, unfortunately. So I don't know how invisible it's going to be. You know, that one is better now because it's now red. I will put a bit more on it, although probably what I'll do is I'll probably put the glue over the top of that and then put some more paint over it. Right. So whilst that one is drying still, I've done this one as well. So that red was pretty close, you know. So I've put that on and I've used a little screwdriver to level it out, and it comes to the top of the hole, as does the other one. So that takes 12 hours to cure properly, so we'll come back tomorrow sometime. I'm working tomorrow, but we'll come back tomorrow sometime and we'll go over it as long as it's not raining, and we'll put some more acrylic paint over the top. We'll put maybe a couple of coats of that on, and that'll be it. That'll be the best I can get it. And I really think I'm not going to dye this. I just talking to my wife about it as well, and she said quite rightly, it's not a new car. It's not going to be perfect. And from here, she said, unless you're really tall, you can't really see it. But yeah, I mean, how many cars of this age with a convertible, all right, forget the burns, how many cars are going to have a perfect roof without any stains or anything like that? It's a shame, because this has come up lovely. It's come up a treat. There's barely a mark on it. It's just the roof. But anyway, we'll come back tomorrow and we'll show you what it looks like with the painting. We've got another new product to try. So this is an acidic wheel cleaner. This is strong stuff. So as it says on here, concentrated acidic wheel cleaner will obliterate the heaviest of brake dust, residue and other deposits. So it says you use it for diluted 1 to 3 for heavy residue. Sorry, delete it 1 to 3 for heavy residue, apply neat. For lighter soiling, dilute up to 1 to 10. So spray onto the surface and allow to dwell for several minutes before agitation, and then rinse clean with a pressure washer. So one of these wheels, not this one, I've rubbed down. There was a job and a half to rub down. This one, what is this on it? I don't know what all this black stuff is on it. But this isn't particularly bad. But I'm going to try it first of all on the other side, because that's quite bad. And I want to try and get them as clean as possible. So I thought I'd try this stuff. I'm going to try it neat first. The other wheel, I've actually taken a lot of it off with whilst rubbing it down. When I've rubbed it down, that's obviously taken off some of the burnt on brake dust. But I thought I'd give it a go on this. I'm going to put some gloves on because it is acidic. Leave for several minutes, use a brush on it, and then we'll hose it off, jet wash it off, and see what happens, see what it looks like. Fingers crossed it works. Right, the stuff itself is a nice, pleasing pink colour. You spray it on, and it's all gone green and yucky. Looks like, oh god, it stinks. Oh, I just need to, I'll take my gloves off, but I just need to get under there. Horrible smell. But yeah, look at the colour of it. So yeah, leave it several minutes. I'm going to leave it 7 or 8 minutes. Agitate it, and then in the oh god, what it's doing to the weights. Ooh. Maybe I should have covered those up. Hopefully it's not going to dissolve them. Oh dear, what are they made of? Are they lead? Don't know what they're made of. Probably not lead these days, are they? Yeah, hopefully that's just a little emulsification rather than actually dissolving it. Yeah, so we'll leave it a few minutes. We'll come back. We'll agitate it with my lovely conditioned brush. Look at the state of it, and then we'll get the jet wash out now and get it off and see what it's like. Right, so I've got the one next to it, which you probably can't see. Just about. That's the one I've rubbed down, which is also filthy. But before I coat that one in this, I want to do it on this one first, just to see how it is. So that's been good 5, 6, 7 minutes. So it's funny, it makes it look like it's algae. That chemical was just a chemical reaction. It was just like a froth. It hasn't affected the weights at all, which is good. So if the power of the pressure washer is good enough to get all this gunk off. Obviously this just sort of loosens it all, doesn't it? But it's, from what I'm seeing, it's looking quite good, I have to say. I haven't done the other side, but I wanted to do this front side first. So let's get the pressure washer on, see what it does. One word. Wow. That's incredible. Wow. Look at that. Let me show you compared to the other wheel. So that's the wheel, the other wheel, which hasn't been done at all. I mean, I don't know if that's paint off around there, probably, but it's like a new wheel. Apart from that, that's amazing. That is amazing. Now, one of the other wheels is really, really bad on the outside, which is possibly one I'm not going to use, but I'm going to, when I take them off, I'm going to use this stuff again. But I'm just going to go and have some lunch, and I'm going to do this one. I must take some before and after shots for Instagram. Wow, I'm well impressed with that. Right, I just wanted to show you this wheel, because this wheel has come up so clean. It is really nice condition. There's no chunks out of it or anything. It's the one that's got the new tyre, or the part worn Continental tyre on it. It's in such good nick, no dings in it, nothing. A little bit of discoloration around here, but apart from that, nothing. And this was obviously one that I've started to repair. So I thought I'm going to paint that one in black to go on the car. I'm not going to paint that one. I'm going to go out and look at the other car, which is parked out in the road, and have a look at the wheels on that. And potentially I might use that wheel on that car and take the one, if there's any wheels on the car that are in worse condition than that, I'll paint those black. So I'll swap them over basically. So let's just take you out then, and we'll have a look at those wheels, see what they're like, and then we can make a decision as to whether we do that. Right, now if we look at this wheel, apart from the fact it's covered in gunk, we can see that it's damaged. It's got the tyres alright on it, it's got a good tyre on it, but it's damaged, curbed, so we might as well swap them over. What's this one like? This one's not too bad. That's not got much in the way of damage on it. That one's alright actually. Let's look at the other side. Yeah, that one's fine. And this one being the front has got damage to it, and has got some lacquer damage, so could actually use this one as well. Again, good tyre. That stuff will eat through there. So I think I'll look on the car and see if there's another wheel that's not damaged, and I can then swap them over as well, because I'd rather use these two. Yeah, that's good. Right, so yeah, it's a bit confusing about those wheels, I know, but I want to try and get the best wheel, or the worst wheels I can, to refurbish for this car, because they're going to be painted anyway, so it makes sense to do that. So we've still got to sort out that stereo, those wires. We've got that live issue with the reboot each time. We've got to sort that out. I have got the diagrams, the wiring diagrams, but it's going to take a little while to go through that, so I thought I'd do that on a separate video. I may just do it and then tell you what I've done. That might be easier rather than boring you with all the gory details. Got to run that earth as well for the brake, on the brake cable, so it will play videos. And then we've got to put it all back. It all works apart from that, so it's just a matter of that. The camera works, as you know. It's a matter of getting that so it doesn't boot up like that all the time, and then we can push it all back. We could tie it all up with the teaser tape, and we can take those brackets out, slide that back, put the parcel shelf all back in, and that'll be finished. Then that'll be that done. I think what I'm going to do, so I anticipate finishing this off next week pretty much, getting the stereo finished, getting those wheels done. There will still be a bit of titivation to be done on the car. I've got a little dent in that door that's got to be done. I'm sure there's a few other bits and pieces. I've got a feeling that the handbrake needs some adjustment. When I was up on the ramps, when I serviced this the other day, it didn't seem to hold very well on the ramp when I wasn't right up to the very top of it. And I have, bearing in mind that cable has been disconnected by me when I did the rear beam, and I think it needs some adjustment, so we need to look at that. But what I'm going to do, I think for the following week, I'm going to get the MOT booked for the following week. So if I can get this all done, everything done next week, I've only got Wednesday and Thursday next week to get all that done, and then the following week, I can't remember what my shifts are, but if I have 2 days off during that week, I'll get the MOT, try and get the MOT booked for the second day. So if there's anything left for me to do on this, I can do it then on the day before. And then hopefully that'll be it. on this, and then it'll be just a general finish clean up, get that roof finished as well, which I was going to include tomorrow in this video, but I thought I'm going to end this video because I want to get this, it's getting a bit long, this video now, so I will finish now. My wife's pulling faces at me. Yeah, so that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you're not a subscriber, click on the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel. Fingers crossed, I don't know what I'm punching for, fingers crossed we get this car finished on the next video, and then it'll be up for MOT, and then it'll be cam belt. Cam belt will be the last thing I'm going to do once it's MOT'd. So until then, as always, hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. As always, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one.